Well, it looks like the rumors might be true. Elon Musk, through Twitter of all things, looks to be creating a competitor to OpenAI. And not only will this be competing with OpenAI, but also a ChatGPT competitor from Chinese company Alibaba. And speaking of rumors, we might have the first look at the new Project Highland Model 3. Let's take a look. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. I'm going to start with the most speculative part of today's video, which is the new Model 3 here. Possibly, right? So take this all with a grain of salt. This is a picture that originally appeared on Reddit. I saw it from Senor Tesla, but then if you kind of go down the rabbit hole, you can see here's the original image that was from 11 hours ago as I'm doing this, so not that long ago. And then I went ahead and did a blow up of it so we could take a look at it a bit closer. So over on my Patreon Discord, we have been having, let's say, a lively conversation about this, whether it's real or not. I personally think this is a real image. I think the problem is that there are just reflections everywhere because the car cover is only half taken off the vehicle, so it's causing all kinds of crazy reflections. But if somebody did this with Photoshop or other things, then good for them on creating all of these little bug splatters and everything, because that would be a pain in the butt to do all that. So anyway, nice work if it is Photoshopped. But let's just assume for a moment, again, take this with a grain of salt, but let's assume this is real. So what are the major differences that we can see between the current Model 3 and this Model 3? So flipping over here for a second to a more traditional looking Model 3, we can see that the front is substantially different. It's a little less curvy. The most notably, of course, the fog lights are not there. But also, if we look, it is quite possible that there are no side repeater cameras, which are right here, where there's a little Tesla T on this one. So somebody's had this one like worked, and it looks really, really cool. But anyway, I wanted to show this because I thought it was nice because you could see the repeater camera really well. Anyway, if we look over here, you can see that from this angle, at least, the front looks a bit more angular than the traditional Model 3. This looks a little more rounded than this one, so a subtle change. But a really big change is the lack of fog lights versus this guy over here, which does have the fog lights. But let's take a closer look at the repeater camera area here. So if we look over here where my mouse is kind of moving around in front of this orange band, we can see it does not appear that there is a repeater camera here anymore. Now, it is possible a couple of things might be going on. Number one, it might be hidden in these reflections. And number two, it might be right behind where this orange band is here, so it might be hiding. So again, it's sort of like it's a little bit behind the wheel well here. So if it is there, my guess is that it's actually hiding right behind the orange band here. And it could possibly be there, but it doesn't really look like it is. If it's not, the question is then where the heck could it be? Unfortunately, we can't see the cameras up here because they're hidden by the car cover. And we also can't see the B-pillar camera here because it's hidden. So I don't know if this person did this on purpose and maybe they covered up the repeater camera as well. I don't know why they would try to do this if they're leaking this photograph anyway, but there you have it. So the obvious difference at this point is the front of the vehicle. It's clearly a more angular, and most notably, the fog lights are missing. But it is quite interesting to speculate on what might have happened to the repeater camera if indeed it's gone. And again, it's like you can see that the line of the car comes right to here, and then there's clearly a kind of a like, I don't know, an angle that the orange band is making here. And so it is possible that that is either the line of the car itself or that is the repeater camera sticking up and it's kind of lumping up the orange band. So we'll have to wait and see. I would guess if this is out and it's been driven this many miles, because if it's going to get that many bug splatters, it has to have been driven at least a few hundred miles. So it has to be out there in the wild without a camo cover on it. And if that is indeed the case, it's got to be pretty close to production if they're driving it around and testing it this much. So anyway, on the Reddit thread, there are people who say that they know people that work at Tesla that say that this is a real image, but you know, that's he said, she said, who knows? So like I said, take this with a grain of salt, but it does look interesting. It looks like a subtle update. We don't see the back, we don't see the interior or anything. So there may be more updates on the interior and the back end that make it look significantly different. From this, you wouldn't like just immediately go like, oh wow, that's a totally new car. You have to look at it for a couple of seconds to really realize the difference. But I have a feeling that stylistically, it is going to look a little more modern, a little more in line with the Cybertruck, considering that it has a few less kind of rounded angles and things like that. So it should look like a nice refresh to the Model 3, but definitely still look like the Model 3. Next up, I want to touch on this really quickly, because if you think that the AI wars have not heated up yet, China is about to get involved through Alibaba. So here you can see the title is Alibaba to roll out its rival to ChatGPT across all of its products. Reading on with the CNBC article, which I will leave a link to in the description, Alibaba Cloud, the cloud computing unit of Chinese tech giant Alibaba, announced Tuesday it will be rolling out its own ChatGPT style product, Tongyi Qianwen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that anywhere close to correctly, but anyway, Tongyi Qianwen, which possesses Chinese and English language capabilities, will initially be deployed on DingTalk, Alibaba's workplace communication software, and Tmall Genie, a provider of smart home appliances, the company said in a release. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this today because of this word that is highlighted in blue, announced. So you can announce anything. I could announce that I'm rolling out a ChatGPT competitor, but it could take me 5 years to get there. So we don't really have a timeline on this, but it is worth keeping an eye on this space because of course China is going to want to compete with US companies in this space. And the most interesting aspect of this to me is that they're specifically touting English language capabilities, which means that they are targeting this beyond just the Chinese market. So of course I'll keep an eye out for this space to see what develops. And finally, let's talk Elon Musk, OpenAI, and Twitter. So as will come as no great surprise to people who've been following Elon Musk on Twitter, he is not pleased with the way that OpenAI has gone in terms of not open sourcing their large language models and also not putting a pause on large language model development, etc. So the interesting thing here is that Elon Musk signed off on the open letter saying that we should pause AI development for 6 months. But interestingly enough, of course, he didn't talk about full self-driving, which is a huge undertaking in the AI world. And also now it definitely appears like he is creating a skunk works. I thought that it was going to be at Tesla. It turns out it looks like it's going to be at Twitter. And I have more information than this Tom's Hardware article, but it's kind of embargoed, so I can't really talk about that right now. But I have a lot of confidence in this report. Anyway, reading this article, which again I will leave a link to in the description, Elon Musk buys thousands of GPUs for Twitter's generative AI project. Despite advocating for an industry-wide halt to AI training, Elon Musk has reportedly kicked off a major artificial intelligence project within Twitter. The company has already purchased approximately 10,000 GPUs and recruited AI talent from DeepMind for the project that involves a large language model, or LLM. One source familiar with the matter stated that Musk's AI project is still in its initial phase. However, acquiring a significant amount of additional computational power suggests his dedication towards advancing the project, as per another individual. Meanwhile, the exact purpose of the generative AI is unclear, but potential applications include improving search functionality or generating targeted and advertising content. At this point, it is unknown what exact hardware was procured by Twitter. However, Twitter has reportedly spent tens of millions of dollars on these compute GPUs, despite Twitter's ongoing financial problems, which Musk describes as a, quote, unstable financial situation. These GPUs are expected to be deployed in one of Twitter's 2 remaining data centers, with Atlanta being the most likely destination. Woohoo, a lot of GPUs in our area. Interestingly, Musk closed Twitter's primary data center in Sacramento in late December, which obviously lowered the company's compute capabilities. A quick aside here, as far as I understand, that data center may have been slightly older and not as up to date, so it may have made sense to close that and then open up a new one with all the latest, greatest stuff going on. That's just, I don't even know that for sure, but that's just speculation, but that may be what in fact was going on. In addition to buying GPU hardware for its generative AI project, Twitter is hiring additional engineers. Earlier this year, the company recruited Igor Babushkin and Manuel Quas, engineers from AI Research, a subsidiary of Alphabet. Musk has been actively seeking talent in the AI industry to compete with OpenAI's ChatGPT since at least February. OpenAI used GPUs to train its ChatGPT bot and continues to use these machines to run it. By now, NVIDIA has launched the successor to the A100, its compute GPUs that are several times faster at around the same power. Twitter will likely use NVIDIA's or similar hardware for its AI project, though we are speculating here. Considering that the company has yet to determine what its AI project will be used for, it is hard to estimate how many Hopper or H100 GPUs it might need. When big companies like Twitter buy hardware, they buy at special rates as they procure thousands of units. Meanwhile, when purchased separately from retailers like CDW, NVIDIA's H100 boards can cost north of $10,000 per unit, which gives an idea of how much the company might have spent on hardware for its AI initiative. So first of all, to my mind, it's really interesting that Elon Musk is calling on Twitter. It's like if you think about the bench that he's got Tesla, he's got Boring Company, he's got Neuralink, he's got SpaceX, and he's got Twitter. So he's got, the guys on the bench, and he's like, okay, you come up and you're going to do the AI thing. So I personally thought that he was going to roll it out as part of Tesla because they already have a huge AI team working on full self-driving. But at the same time, it does make a lot of sense to tag Twitter as the source for the AI team, especially if, as it sounds like, he's building something from scratch. Now, why would Twitter be better for a large language model than a place like Tesla? The big reason why is because you happen to have access to a walled garden of information that nobody else has access to, which is all of Twitter. So if the Twitter AI team can figure out a way to access all of that information in an ethical manner, and what I mean by that is a manner in which it's not tagged to the individual who wrote the texts, they basically have access to all of the tweets that people have done over the past 15 or so years. That is a gold mine of language that nobody else has access to at this point. That is a huge data moat. I've talked about this before in other videos. You can check them out up here, that there's not really a data moat for these companies like OpenAI because anybody can go out there and crawl the internet and get the same information. Yeah, it takes a lot of work and it's a pain in the butt to do, but you can do this. So there's not a really big moat in terms of data. And that's one of the biggest differentiating factors for how well a large language model will work. But the big ticket moat that Twitter has is it has access to its own data and nobody else has access to that. So that's a walled garden of data and that's a pretty significant moat. So if and when this Twitter AI project comes to fruition, and it might not take them all that long, they should have a large language model that will not only compete with things like OpenAI, but will have distinct benefits in the way that it talks to people and the conversational ability, because it will have looked at not only the training set that everybody else has access to, but also the Twitter data as well, at least I would imagine that, and thus it will be able to operate in a different manner and a significantly improved manner, potentially, from large language models like ChatGPT. And like I said earlier, I have a bunch more information about this, and there's some really interesting stuff that's going on that I will reveal as soon as I'm allowed to, but it's even more interesting than what I've talked about here. So stay tuned to this space to find out more information about that. But finally, one quick point, and that is that the whole reason why Elon Musk is ostensibly starting this company is to compete with closed AI, in the sense that they are not releasing their models, nor are they releasing the weights to the public. So if Elon Musk is true to his word, and generally speaking, we have found that he is true to his word, he will likely release the weights and the models after the AI team develops this. Now, would he release the data itself? I doubt that he would do that, because there's probably not only competitive reasons not to do it, but also ethical reasons, because again, you might be able to go back through this and figure out who said what and all of that kind of stuff. But again, Twitter is a relatively open space, so you could do that yourself if you wanted to. But in my mind, at least, Twitter would not release the data set that they would use, but they would release the weights that they got and also the models as well. So it could be a really, really interesting space in 6 or 9 months. I think it would probably take them at least half a year to closer to a year to not only build out this model, but also test it and make sure it's safe and everything. The other aspect of it is, of course, that Elon Musk is very much against the restrictions, the sort of wokeness of the ChatGPT models. And so their team might go a very different direction in terms of how they do alignment with this model. So anyway, sometime around the fall of this year, or maybe the very beginning of 2024, it should get really interesting as we see what Twitter's AI comes up with. All right, I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it fun and interesting and thought-provoking. Certainly a lot of speculation here. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Model 3 and about the Twitter AI project as well. And of course, while you're at it, don't forget to like the video so other people can find it, and consider subscribing for more of this kind of content. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon and my YouTube channel members. Thank you all so much for your support. I truly do appreciate it. And if you want to join the team, just check out the link in the description. And if you're interested in a whole bunch of really cool merch, check out our merch store. Link is in the description. We have TeslaBot t-shirts, the Tesla meme t-shirt, Success is a Possible Outcome, 4680 battery cells. All of that stuff is on t-shirts, mugs, tumblers, and on and on. So check it out. And finally, don't forget that we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how going shopping for a solar roof, a power wall, or anything on Amazon helps out the channel. In the meantime, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.